Hey magicians, Liza Sivek here with you again at Marketing Myths and Magic Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us again today. I have Jeremy Nicolaides. Oh my God, am I saying that right?
You did.
Okay.
You did, absolutely.
I've read it more than said it. So Jeremy is here today. And I have one of those names. I can't be saying other people's names wrong, So he's back with us. You might have listened to the podcast from season 1 with him. You can see that on my website if you haven't, because it was a lot of fun. And I totally geeked out because of his background in 3D video effects for movies. And we'll get back into that later. But we are going to talk about marketing strategy and finding ways to start that if you don't have a lot of experience with doing that and you're trying to figure out what your marketing plan will be for your business. That's a big question people have when they come to myself or Jeremy is, where do I even start? It's overwhelming when you don't know the first steps. So that's what we're here to talk about today, is how to figure out how to get to those first steps. So Jeremy, welcome. Thank you for coming back.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me back. I'm happy to be here.
Look, I have my baby Yoda today.
I see that. I see that.
It's not directly a Star Wars movie, I know. So
it's a spinoff. It's all in the universe. We speak in universes now, right? You got the Marvel universe, the Star Wars universe.
Right, exactly. And by the way, I know that this is not Baby Yoda for the purists. I know that's not his name, but that's okay. That's what we're going to
We all call him Baby Yoda.
Everybody calls Baby Yoda. It actually really annoyed me at first. And then we found out his name and I was like, I'm still calling him Baby Yoda. So I guess I can't be judged by that. Yeah. So besides my geekiness, what have you been up to? What's new with you? What are we talking about today? Like with strategy, like where are you at with your clients and what you're doing right now?
Yeah. So, my whole big thing is, how do I take, the things that have been proven in Hollywood to help businesses outside of Hollywood, right? And so I've got a fractional CMO service that I help, large businesses and big and small, but that's like big overarching strategies using Hollywood's predictable sales and growth strategies, right? But what I realized recently, this was actually in December, with this had this epiphany, and I realized that we can, outside of Hollywood, we can model movie marketing for our own businesses, right? And so that's what I've been working on. Came up with a masterclass that I've hosted and have been teaching to people. And we could dive into that if you want.
I would love to, because the whole movie marketing for a business, it's hard to wrap your head around if you're not in marketing, I think. But I really want people to understand how marketing in one industry can work in another industry as long as you personalize it.
Yes.
You can't just copy it, right?
Yeah.
So
keyword is model, right?
Right. That's exactly. It's modeled on. So you can bring your customers red carpet service, and I have so many puns I promise I won't use. So many puns.
This is going to be a funny podcast.
That should be the name of this podcast. Let's just admit it. That and dogs. Okay. So what do you like? How do you start with them? I know you do some live training, and you don't just dump them into a workbook and a worksheet and say, here you go, that's it. You actually give them some do it with you kind of training, right?
Absolutely. My whole thing is we're tired of information only things, right? And products. And I like to make sure that people walk away with something that's executable, that they're actually doing. What's a quick win? Because it's all about momentum, right? You get excited about an idea, but if you don't succeed at it quick enough, then it fizzles away and dies, and some other shiny object pops up, and then you go chase that one, and that one fizzles and dies, and you chase another one, and then you end up nowhere. And in fact, I have one of my things is I do this I don't know what you would call it, but this in the training, at the end of things, I call it half-built bridges, right? And I talk about how we're all full of half-built bridges. And even though what I just taught you and showed you works, the most important thing, if I could get across to you, is complete your bridges. Stop chasing shiny objects. Stop stopping, right? But going back to your question is, first, I want them to understand how the concept of modeling it, right? And then it's important where you started this in the beginning of the show, talking about where do we start, right? So first, the broad strokes of movie marketing, what I realize is that media has been decentralized, right? I'm on your podcast right now. You own a piece of media. You have your own media platform. And so, so many businesses, so many people have amazing podcasts out there. It's in fact, go back to my, my suffering story. And when I left Hollywood for a minute and bought a business, didn't know what I didn't know. And it was really painful. It was podcasts and learning from people and coaching and mastermind that got me out of it, right? So podcasts are very important. People have YouTube channels with lots of followers. You can go live on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. So they're platforms. So the media has been decentralized. And so when, like last year I worked on Dune and Godzilla vs. Kong and an animation called Rumble and a bunch of IMAX films. When these films come out, right? What do we see? We see trailers, right? First we see a teaser, we see a little clip of something, and then we see a longer clip, was the trailer, the commercial. And then all of a sudden, like right before it comes out, we start seeing people on the morning shows and the late night shows and the daytime shows, and they're in magazines and newspapers and all over social media, right? Well, we could do the same thing, right? We can go and basically we are speaking to other people's audiences, right? In the beginning, especially when you're starting out, we're told, the values in our list, our customer list, we got to have followers. We got to get people to follow us on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest and all these things. And we have to have podcasts and we got to build our tribe and build our, which is great.
Community. Yeah. We've been hearing that for a long time, and it's true, but we've been hearing it for a long time, and it's more important than ever. Right.
Yeah. But now there are communities all over the place. And so now I can partner with you, right? I could say, hey, I've got some value I would love to share with your audience. And I can come on your show just as if I was going on Jimmy Fallon or something and talk about my stuff. And then hopefully some people that connect with me and resonate with me will go check me out too, right? And so it's that path and getting people to understand that you can go speak on other platforms in front of other people's audiences and it be okay. Right? Like you and I, we have a conversation. Yes. I won't get on somebody's show without talking to them first, right? Because I want to make sure that I'm delivering value and that it's right for both of us.
Right, exactly. And we've done that, and we've talked before, and we've done another podcast before. Mm-hmm. But and thanks for comparing me to Jimmy Fallon. I'm funnier than him, but I'll take it. So, and I'll come back to the side tangent of Dune in a minute, but yes, exactly. I mean, you are so right. And first of all, half-built bridges just like hit me right between the eyes, because it's so easy for entrepreneurs. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs who are, on the ADHD spectrum, if you can call that a spectrum. And there's a lot of people who just act that way because that's how they were trained in business, and they're all over the place. And like you said, we've talked about it before, this shiny object syndrome. It's a real thing. It happens to everybody. And when you're an entrepreneur, you're always getting ideas. You're always thinking about what's the next thing, what's the other money I can bring in, what other monetized income stream, what other idea. And boy, I had this great idea that I want to do, and now you've spread yourself too thin. It happens to the best of us, not all of us, but to the best of us. Yeah. And there's a lot of potential for that half-built bridge. And you get this great idea, you get out there, you try to market it, and then you stop. And I think that thinking about being on people's media and collaborating is such a good point. I mean, you can keep talking about it with people that way. You don't have to constantly just put up pictures on Instagram. Live video is king now. It's on the rise. Content is on the rise to be, recorded or live video, action, not pictures, not words. So you make a really, really good point. And by the way, talking about collaborating, keep listening, because we are going to talk about a webinar that Jeremy and I are collaborating on together, right to the point of what he's talking about. And he is going to be on my Marketing Myths and Magic Facebook and LinkedIn group via Zoom on, this Friday. This is Monday, this is going up. So this Friday. So this is, what's that, the 8th? What is that? I don't know. So hold on, I'll look. I just told him I was going to get these dates, and then I didn't. So anyway, we're going to tell you about it at the end, and we'll tell you about the date. So now you got to listen so that I can go find it. So
the carrot has been dangled.
The carrot has been dangled because I am ADD. All right. So tell me, how do you avoid the half-built bridge? Where do you start and how do you get onto those media platforms? Like, how do you lead people there?
So I think, first we need to understand our market, right? The number one thing. What is the first thing we need to do is we need to understand before we do anything, who is our ideal customer, right? Like just step one. And even successful companies out there haven't really tuned in on this, right? It could just be kind of vague and they're leaving money on the table. So with that assumption that we understand our market and we understand who we're marketing to and who we're looking for, right? The first step is, what is your message before we even reach out to anybody? We understand our market, but what are we saying to the people, right? And I like to use, Hollywood structure. We have a Hollywood story structure. You wonder why some movies are so predictable and you're like, I know what's going to happen at the end, is because they weren't good at covering up the structure, because that structure is there. It's been around for decades. And if you follow it, you will succeed. But again, like, the key word is model, right? We use the structure and then we build on top of it. And so we go down that path, and a lot of people are like, I don't know what to say. And really your message, have you ever heard the term your mess is your message? Have you heard that one? Because it's not for me.
But it sounds like me not being able to find the date that I needed when I was on my podcast. What does that mean? I want to know what that means.
Yeah. So many people are only worried about looking perfect out in the world. Right. And we see, on social media, just highlight reels all over the place, right? Like it's everybody's highlight reel and it's not real. And so when we're trying to sell something, if we're going to provide a product or a service, we need to be real. We need to connect with people. Right. And so it's okay to share the struggle. When I first started going on podcasts, I was just talking about how, when I went out and bought this print and marketing business after stepping out of Hollywood for a second, and it was painful. I thought I knew it all. I had just, was part of a team that built a company from 50 people in LA to 3,500 people worldwide. And I was full of confidence. And I buy this company. And, a year later, I'm like, talking to my wife, do we file for bankruptcy? What do we do? Right. Because there's so many things I didn't know. Right. And so that became part of it, but it became of who I am. And now it's relatable. How is somebody going to believe you if you can't be relatable, right? And so like, let's talk about that message. And the second part of it is we essentially need to create an offer, right? We need two offers in this case. We need an offer where we're going to talk to a show host and we need to offer them something, right? This is not just, hey, let me come on your show and this is all about me. None of it's about me. Right? None of it's actually about you either, right? It's about the people listening. If we are all in service of other people, and the sooner we know that and realize that, the better everything becomes, right? So what can that's why I said, I don't want to get on a podcast unless we have a conversation first, right? I want to make sure that I have value. So I have the baseline, like, hey, I'm doing this, model movie marketing, like, let's do this, but where does that really fit in, right? How can your audience really benefit from that? So that, because they're giving us time, right? They're giving us the most valuable thing they have, which is time. They can never get that back, right? If they paid us, $25 to listen to this show, they could go make another $25, but they're not going to get 25 minutes back, 45 minutes back. It's not coming back, right? And so that's step one. It's just really getting to know your message, putting an offer. Oh, I said two offers, one for the host and then one for the audience, right? Like you said, at the end of this, we're going to talk about something else, something for the audience, right? Or that next step, what's something they could do next? So once we have that, then it's time to reach out, right? Now it's, hey, let's reach out to these shows. And my favorite way to find shows and platforms to speak on is find groups of show hosts and people and audiences that come together, right? Where are they congregating? So I'm not going to Apple and going, show by show by show by show. And like, oh, this one, how do I reach out? And spending all this time. People are congregating, right? I think is that how you and I met originally?
Yes, we were in a podcast collaboration group, and that's where I found a ton of guests once I ran out of friends, when I first started.
Right.
And that it's been such a great thing, because you can go on there and you can be a host looking for guests, or you can be a guest looking for hosts. You don't have to have a podcast to be in these groups. And that's important to know. It's very important to know. And a lot of people's VAs, virtual assistants, or PR people or other assistants are in there for the people that they're trying to get on podcasts. So there's a lot of opportunity in those. Absolutely.
Yeah. So again, for me, it's what's the fastest way? What's the shortest point to where I'm going? And it's all where people hanging out, right? And so we want to speak to our ideal client. Where are they hanging out? They're hanging out in your show. I want to get on somebody's show. Where all the hosts hanging out? They're hanging out here in this collab group, right? Let's go talk over there and meet people. So that's I guess I moved on to step 2 without actually, you asked about step 1, but then step 2, we reach out, right?
Giving it all away. That's right. Okay, so it's going to be Friday the 11th, because I don't know what day it is at all today, or the day this goes live. So it's going to be Friday the 11th. We're doing the Q&A with Jeremy at 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time, right?
Yes.
So
yeah, when all my kids are
asking him, I don't know, but and then we're going to tell you about our webinar shortly at the end of the podcast. So while I was looking for that, I'm trying to remember what I was going to ask you, because you made some really good points there. And I'll drop that podcast collab link in the show notes in my group today, so that you guys can check it out if you want to do the same thing. It's a great group and it's grown quickly, so check it out. We've collaborated twice now. You came back to me a year later to talk about something, and I had ideas, and it turned into this whole webinar plan. And that's exactly to speak to exactly what you're talking about. These things organically become other things when the relationship is good, and you've got something that will work for both of you. So you're benefiting yourself by benefiting others. And that's how it should be. You should be getting benefit while benefiting others. And, it's okay to be selfless in business, but it's not profitable to do it all the time. So let's also talk about how it can benefit you. So you're doing the live training. You've got an offer with the movie marketing, and I mean, I'm looking at the VIP page, and I'm not going to give that out, but they got to go to you for that. But I mean, you've got stuff about lead magnets and customer avatars. But you've got some fantastic stuff in here that people don't know how to do, and they can try to YouTube it, and you absolutely can, but that only gets you so far. At some point, you need guidance on how to personalize it for yourself. And that's what you're offering. That's what you're doing with this training. Okay.
Well, we're truncating time, right? Like that's the other thing is, yes, you can go on YouTube and find anything. We've got the YouTube University, right? And you can figure it all out. Going back, I wasn't planning on talking so much about this, but go back to that print marketing business that I bought, and I was suffering so much, and I didn't know what I didn't know. Well, really, all I was in was a vicious trial and error loop, right? I would try something. I would trial and error. And then I'd figure out, I'm like, great, and I can move forward. And then boom, I crashed into another wall, and trial and error. And what we're talking about, so that was me, like on YouTube. What should I do now? I didn't have a proper map. I didn't even know what direction I should be going, let alone what I should be doing, right? And so the idea here, and why there's all this stuff in here, is in a very short period of time, you are going to know this, and you're going to complete this bridge, right? This is not going to be a half-built bridge. If you come to this masterclass, you are going to sign up for that podcast collab group. You're going to get in there, and you are going to post something that day, and you're going to look to meet with somebody and make it happen, right? Because it's inevitable if you actually do the work, right? Like you got to move, you got to take action, and it can be imperfect, and you're going to fail. And this is also where you put in your reps, right? Like if you're working out, right? If you're getting better and better at something, you got to do it, right? And so that's also the benefit of speaking on other people's platforms, is that you're honing your message. You're figuring out what people like. You're getting a response. We all sit in our bubbles, and we come up with these ideas and these plans, and we're learning stuff. But we never fully complete the learning process and what it's going to be until we put it out into the world and get feedback, right? Because again, it's not about us, right? And so we make assumptions until we can actually have actual responses that change and hone in everything from our offer to our message to our fulfillment and what people want. And you just get better and better at it.
That's so true. Excuse me. That's so true. And, now you can't go out to network groups and talk in person and, refine that elevator speech. You think you got it down, and then you go and you see that people react a little differently depending on how you say it. So if you're not ready to go live on a podcast or do, a live video with someone else's platform, show up at in person if you have them, or Zoom networking groups, because tons of these networking groups have gone from local to national by going online. You can find them on Eventbrite. You can find them on, the Empower Network platform that I'm on. And hone that 1 minute speech there, hone your pitch there, talk to people there where it's not going to be going at national until you feel comfortable with it. That's okay. And, there's that fail fast theory. I've been hearing a lot about that lately. Fail fast, go in, make your mistake, correct it, move on. You're going to get better. Don't be afraid to fail. And, that's an excellent point. It really is an excellent point.
It's machine learning, right? That's like when we talk about AI and machine learning, that's what it's doing, except for the computer doesn't have an emotional response to the failure, right? Yeah. And so the computer just goes, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this. And it fails and fails and fails. And then it works and it bypasses that and then goes to the next thing and fails and fails and fails until it works. And then once everything works from start to finish, then you turn it up, right? And you just start like, go, 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 go. And with us humans, us live people, we get emotionally, hurt. It didn't work, and we get sad and we get depressed. And listen, I'm an emotional person, right? I'm like a creative at heart, so I'm super emotional. And I got to remind myself that it's okay, that like this feedback is just feedback, and we make adjustments. And if I'm too down, or if my energy's not there, I just stop. I don't power through it. I go take a walk, I meditate, I do something to get myself out of that and get back into being grateful and optimistic and move forward again.
Yeah, it's okay to feel the feelings, but don't let them stop you.
Right.
Don't let them stop you if you can do that. And if it does stop you, start again. Everybody's different. Everybody can get through that in their own way, but you can start again. Yeah. Like you said, I mean, you've set out some of the things you've had failures at and successes at, and we're basically writing Jeremy's movie right now in this podcast, but we're going on an emotional roller coaster with Jeremy. So the formula is there. He made me laugh, he made me cry, he made me concerned about his business. So not this one though, because this was doing great. Yes. So and by the way, we didn't even say it's Golden Octopillar.
Golden Octopillar. Yeah.
Even say it? I don't think you even said it.
We haven't even said it yet.
Yeah, the Golden Octopillar, which to me just sounds like a movie monster. It's so cool.
I am a
Golden Octopillar versus Mothra. Yeah.
No, I'm a huge monster movie fan, especially like the old monsters, like retro 50s, like giant anything. I'm in.
Yep. My husband refers to those little twins with Mothra all the time as jokes. So I didn't even know they existed. I had to go back and watch the movie again to see what he's talking about. So I'm just picturing like the Golden Octopillar, Mothra, and the twins now. So
Mothra, how cool is like Mothra, right? Like it's a giant moth.
Yeah, it's either terrifying or cuddly, depending on how you feel about insects. To me, I'd be like, can I ride it? So everybody's different.
Yeah.
I prefer a dragon, but I'll take Mothra given the choice. So, and then there's King, Godzilla and King Kong. You drop in those movie names over there, you cool Hollywood guy. So I feel cooler just by association. Let me tell you,
it's all an illusion.
Yeah. So now that we're talking about movies, I'm going to go off on my Dune tangent real quick. I made Jeremy, when I first talked to him, tell me if as a child of the 80s, I was going to be disappointed with the new Dune before it came out. I mean, you put Jason Momoa in your advertising, it's probably, something I'm going to say. But other than that, and he said, nope, you're not going to be disappointed. You're not going to be disappointed. And I was not. So thank you.
It was awesome, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Unfortunately for Jeremy, we didn't see it in 3D, but I will.
Well, there's this, I don't know if you know that, but there's this little virus running around right now that's making it hard to go to movie theaters sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Not a computer virus on the 3D, but something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
The damn demic. Yeah.
Right.
So, no, we can still go. We have a tiny little movie theater here. So I'll just sit in the back. It'll be fine. But yeah, we really enjoyed it. So, and I got to say, I know somebody who worked on the effects on this. I know somebody who produced part of this.
You stay long enough to see my name go by. Oh, I know that.
That's right. Look, there he is. Yeah. So, and as a matter of fact, my husband's only question for you is when's the next one coming out? So he was pretty happy. Yeah. So,
which is a good question. It is coming.
He's not going to tell me on this podcast, guys. So don't get excited. So, So so getting back to the movie making, so you've got something like Dune. The studio's got to market this movie.
Yeah.
And one of the things, talking about live video, talk about different ways you can market and get out there. Social media and getting things shared by the people.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask you about, what you thought. This isn't video necessarily, but when you go up to a movie theater now, for years, they don't just have a poster. Movie posters used to be it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got a cutout
Yep.
of the stars by go in the line, even if you're not there to see that movie. And then they have these whole scenes, these whole cardboard cutout scenes in the lobby, because they know people will take their camera out and take a picture and share it, and they'll hashtag it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm thinking is that if I want someone to talk about something, and I tell clients this all the time, do the little, photo sheet in the corner. I just had my teeth cleaned, or, I just did this. That's all movie marketing too. And it's not exactly what you're talking about here with the platforms, but I like the idea of it getting shared.
Yes.
And if you're doing video, and if you're doing platforms and you're doing podcasts, we're hoping people are sharing those too.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the part of the strategy that helps people get involved and engaged with movies? Like you said, you see it everywhere. And now it's like part of your day and you can't wait for this to come out. Like, how do we get that excitement?
Yeah. No, I'm picking up what you're putting down. So one of the things, like one of the initial responses a lot of times is, because I'll say like, do this, use this strategy to become, an A-list celebrity brand, right? So that when it comes time to picking, when a customer or a client, it comes time to choose a business, you are the only sensible choice, right? So how are you gonna do that, right? And then we talk about this, and I say, you're gonna go on all these platforms, but here's the thing, it's gonna be recorded. Not only is it gonna be audio, it could be video. I've done podcasts where I've just set my phone up. So like you and I are talking, but I've set my phone up in a way that's recording me and the background how I want it, right? And so now I have all my responses. They can't hear the person because usually I have my headphones in, but you can screen record. You can, like, you're recording this, right? This will appear somewhere. I can grab it. We can talk about it. I could say, hey, can I get a copy of that recording? And then we can take this and we can chop it all up, right? Because people are like, oh, I don't want to be on social media all the time. I have a family. I'm busy. I don't want to be an influencer. I don't know what to say. I'm shy and I'm an introvert. Totally get it. I don't want to be on social media all day either. That's the last thing I want to do. And of course, then like the family hates it. What are you doing, Dad? Hey, babe, what are you doing? Like, why are you staring at your phone? Like, I want to be present and enjoy my life and my family, right? So we record these interviews. You go on a podcast, YouTube, whatever platform on it gets recorded. That then gets chopped up, right? Either you or a VA, somebody that works for you, chops it all up. And now you have quote cards, right? You can just take a quote and put it on a beautiful background and put your name on. This is my quote that I said, right? And you have that. You've got audio clips, you've got video clips, right? And so you get all this stuff, and now you can repurpose it and put it everywhere. You can put it all over your social media. I like to put, 5 things on Instagram a week, 5 things on Facebook a week, and then 2 months down the line, swap them, right? So it's like, it's multiplying. So like content is already ready to go months down the line from today. And then you still can do like your stories and your lives and the fun stuff and whatnot, but you're hitting those key things. So when people look you up, you've been quoted, you're being interviewed, like you are a leader in your industry, right? But, and I got this from you, so this is 100% credit goes right back to you. Why is not, when you start thinking about, what you're going to talk about and kind of thinking about opportunities for sound bites and hashtags, it should be all SEO based, right? It should all be optimized for the computers and the algorithms and everything to pick it up so it gets in front of more people. Because you're going to create your own hashtags. You're going to put hashtags on things. You're going to hashtag so somebody else looks at it and maybe shares it. But once you said that to me, I was like, oh, that's it. It's over. The game over. Let's forget about it. Drop the mic. We're going home. Right. And I love that. So that's it, from a high level viewpoint.
Right. Well, I'm glad I could help you with that, because that is my strong point is, I love to research those keywords. I might be a movie geek, but boy, am I an SEO geek, the search engine optimization. And that just means keywords and key phrases for those who aren't familiar with that term. And, you can look them up all day long, but not, know which ones to use.
Right.
And that's because we're thinking of it from our point of view and what we would search, because we already know the industry and we have to think of it how other people do. So there's ways to look that up. I run reports and audits for people all the time and say, here you go. Here's what you should do. Here's what your competition is using and you're not. There's a lot of research out there. And
that is so big. Like what you just said, like your competition, like they've already, especially like if they're big and successful, like we talk about modeling success, what is the competition's amazing because you can say, oh, they've already spent the time and the money to figure out what keywords work. Right. You don't have to do anything. You can see what works with them.
Yeah. If you've got somebody, a really big competitor and you're a small business, I do that all the time as I look those up. And even though there's free tools out there to do it, my clients don't know what to do with that list because, if you're looking up Walmart, you're going to get a bunch of words that have nothing to do with you. No. So you have to pare that list down and say, okay, these work. I can't just use the one that's bringing everyone in from Walmart to me because I don't have what Walmart has. So you have to pare it down. It's time. It's always time. Marketing is time. So that's where, people like you and I come in as a fractional CMO. You can consult with them and tell them, here's how you look at that. Yeah. I can do the same, or I can just do it for them. So, we have very similar services that way. And another thing you said, and thank you for the little, bump in my expertise. I'm going to hold on. I have to write down that quote right now to make sure to put that into our content. So yeah,
I mean, what we just talking about, you take that piece, right? Because now you have a testimonial from me on your show that you could put on your stuff and me giving you giving you props, right? Like it's amazing.
Right. That's right. And, because that's what I was going to say, when you have something like that, a quote that's, I'm not speaking in keywords. I wasn't like, well, when I talk to Jeremy, I'm going to say this word, but you have to speak to your audience. But guess what? You have to speak to Google too. And I use Google because they are the search algorithm, but you're also speaking to the Facebook algorithm. You're also speaking to the LinkedIn algorithm. You're also speaking to the Twitter and the Instagram and whoever else popped up today as a social media. So these algorithms are constantly changing. And these algorithms are not telling you when they're changing. So as marketers, we have to constantly watch them and go, oop, there was a dip. Why? What changed? And we have to find out. So these are things that, professional marketers can help you find those steps. Once you've got that strategy, a lot of these strategy things that you're telling me about, by speaking to the search engines and speaking to the customer, you're kind of getting around those changes a little bit. You may see dips, and everyone will see dips. It's not because you did something wrong, but it will help you get around those because people are still searching those words. Those words haven't changed for your industry that fast. So there's a lot of things to get through those changes that make my life so interesting as a professional marketing agency owner. So
we have to be findable, right? I mean, that's the key. People have to be able to find us. And that's what we're talking about, is how easily can somebody find you? We can get out and we're talking about talking in front of other people's platforms, on other people's platforms to their audience. But what about the whole world out there? We're trying to have every kind of advantage we can. And you got to be searchable, you got to be findable, and then you got to be relatable, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, that's what it really comes down to. So, you said that strategy, you said you need a map, right? And I was thinking strategy is the map, obviously. And if you've never been there before, you can't draw the map.
Right.
So there's no way to just say, okay, we're going to go this place. This is my end goal. And so I'm going to try to figure out how to get there with a marketing strategy, but I've never done this before. So how do I do it? So that's where these steps come in. That's where you're working at like a movie marketing experience, model movie marketing masterclass. I love the alliteration, matches the podcast. We'll have to use that. Right. So, I think that's an amazing thing. So how did they get this offer, first of all, from you? And then we're going to talk about the webinar.
Yeah. So for me, it's easy. If you go to goldenoctopillar.com/movie marketing, you'll be there. And I actually have it to register for free. You can get in there and you can see a version of it for free. And then, like you said, there's a VIP page, which, I highly recommend everybody take that offer. It's nothing. Like, I mean, the value is extreme, but the price is nothing. But you got to check it out to see what it is.
It is. I was very impressed with it, which is why we started talking about this, because I was like, this is a great way to look at it. This is a really great way to leverage the idea. And, I think the steps are simple to understand, and you've got somebody walking you through them. You've got the guide. You are their Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
You didn't know you're Obi-Wan, but you're Obi-Wan. So webinar. So name to be announced. That's going to be coming up this week on my pages and Jeremy's pages. But the webinar is going to be something where you come in for an hour with us as a small business owner, and we basically together walk you through creating an entire strategy outline and get you started in that hour. You're going to walk away with the beginning of a strategy in the outline. And we're going to give you the tools to understand what those steps are. And then, we just give you some of our expertise basically and answer some questions. That's going to be February 18th at 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And we're going to be putting that sign up on our pages. Starting February 8th, which is the day that this podcast starts. So if you're listening on the 8th, get over there. Be the first one in. I'll send you.
This is going to be awesome. I mean, this is our two worlds. Like you and I were talking, I got this going on, you got going on. I'm like, oh my God, what if we put this together? Right.
Yes.
And, and like you said, people are going to walk away with the strategy, executable, like they can do this. And, we're putting it out there and
we're not giving you a half-built bridge.
This is not a half-built bridge. And this
is not going to be a half-built bridge.
Information. Yeah, exactly.
It's 90 minutes of let's get you from the beginning to the end so that you can repeat the process and, get the basics and understand why you're doing it. And that's important because this is for the people who have never done it before. They've never been there before, so they can't draw the map to get there. We're going to give you the map.
Do not suffer like I suffered. You do not need to.
Well, that's what basically we're doing was we're both coming and going, don't do what we did. Right. I had to learn marketing by, as I said, the seat of my pants before YouTube was a thing. So, as it came out, there started to be more and more videos, but I had already, figured it out by then. YouTube is great, but you can't learn everything. The learning curve is too hard. So let us help you kind of supplement that with real steps and real guidance. And that's going to be
live.
February 18th.
You can ask questions. Like we'll be there. Like, you can ask the questions and get your answers.
That's right. That's right. And I will probably make jokes, just be understood that's something you're gonna have to suffer through. And also, maybe the dog will bark like he is now. So
maybe a kid will come bashing in on the door and come in. Oh wait, no, they'll be at school. They'll be in school. We'll be good.
That's right. Well, we've talked about that, and I've talked about this in the podcast. In Zoom, it's perfectly normal to have the cat walk in front of you or the kid walk in and go, I need to talk to you right now. I don't care that you're on social media and live. That doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
So February 18th is the webinar. It's free of charge, but you got to register so we can get you the workbook and get you the information. Name to be announced. So you'll see that on the 8th. So come check it out. Yes. Jeremy, how else can they find you?
The easiest, best way is Golden Octopillar. Put that into your search bar, but you can go to goldenoctopillar.com. That's the base of everything. You can go to the Golden Octopillar on Instagram and Facebook. And there's no other Golden Octopillar out there. So, type it in and you'll find me, and because of the movies, you put my name in the search bar and all kinds of stuff pops up. I'm like, I'm not in a hidden world.
No, you're on IMBD, as a matter of fact. Yep. So that's like automatically you're now my coolest friend, I think is how that works. Sorry, everybody. Sorry. So just kidding. All right. But hey, so
we can be friends. Come to the webinar and we can be friends too, right?
Yeah, that's right. You can all be 2 degrees away from George Lucas like me now. That's right. Really all that. That's really the only reason that I even like you, Jeremy. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, okay. Story of my life.
So definitely come to the webinar. Definitely leave a comment on this podcast. Let us know what you learned. And we will see you again next week. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.